Invocation by Henry, followed by the flag salute.
Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Lord Jesus, we thank you for this day. We thank you that we were able to open our eyes this morning and take a breath of fresh air and look out and see this beautiful world that you made for us. Lord, help us to be good stewards of what you've created. Jesus, we pray you will come and be with our elected officials today and guide them with your wisdom and your righteousness in the business at hand. Lord, we truly thank you for every blessing that we get. And I pray that you will inspire each of us to go forth today and do something that will reflect the love and caring that you have for us. I offer this prayer in your name, Jesus. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, last day of the month, so we have regular meeting plus payday. We'll start out with payday.
Okay. First, I have the sales tax. Sales tax was $69,773.82. And then you have the payday warrant, and the total payday is $1,250,451.54.
Anyone have any questions? Or is the warrant registers?
Henry wanted to know if that's for 1 month or not.
Yeah, so you're going to the warrant register. I do have one or two questions. Let me find them here. Okay, so I'm just not sure of this. I think probably if you go on to page 4, is that Bachman Company, PA? Is that Russ Avey? I never really.
That is his company, yes.
Okay.
Ballman Company.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. I just don't see that on there very often, so I just thought so, but I wasn't sure. And I understand we have not gotten any more bills or anything from Adam Jones.
No.
Okay. And I had one more, I thought, just a quick question. Thought. A lot of pages of this thing. Does the trailer rent out at the Park and Lake, does that actually go to Isaac's budget?
Yes.
It does?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And then my other question that I have, I think I will reserve it for, I see that Bryce will be here today, so I'll reserve that question for him.
Okay.
You have any, Randy?
No.
I think I had one the way there on that very last, on that summary sheet. Where is that? Around 40, page 40,
About 44 maybe? Or
44. Get there. Page 40. Accounts payable. Yeah. We still carry a jail bond and interest at line item 148, showing 18,000.
Yes. Wait. I'm sorry.
On page 40?
I'm going. Page 40 of the, I went to page 40 of the packet, not page 40 of the report, so let me
Okay.
go on there, sorry.
And so-
Well, the jail bond and interest, that's the leftover money from the jail
Right.
sales tax.
Right.
And out of that fund this month, the sheriff spent 18,000. And that was for computer upgrades and some different other things for the building, so,
Oh, okay, so we've still got funds in there.
yes.
And it hasn't been paid off yet, has it? I mean, has it?
As far as we're concerned, it has. I mean,
But,
we've
yes,
escrowed out
correct.
to a bank. I'd have to
Right.
double check on what date the bank is supposed to be paying that.
Yeah.
It may be paid.
It may be,
It
okay.
might be.
I know it's coming up, but I didn't know when.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can check. I don't have that handy, so. I'll make a
And that
note
can
to
be
check
used,
that.
those monies can be used for anything as long as it's jail related.
Yeah, technically, we could put it in a general fund and use it now, but if we have building related
Which we
expenses,
have had, yeah.
that's more appropriate to use it for that. So we have not done that.
Okay.
That's sort of what I'd like to see it. If it's spent anything at all, I'd like to see it spent on that building. Because that's
Well,
what
we've seen some pretty sizable
Yes. Yeah.
expenditures on the HVAC and all that.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
And I'll just have you go ahead and go through the, and sign the warrant register, and you can review the payroll board.
I guess so, yeah.
Yes. I also have the mileage logs and the comp time report.
Okay, so look at those.
I received some notifications from the Department of Labor that they're actually looking into on salaried people, changing some of the laws and so on as far as overtime requirements and things. I didn't read it in its entirety, but they're just actually considering changing to their ability to get overtime. It's my take at a glance of it.
They did make a change that was approved, and that was raising the salary amount of the individuals to be exempt from overtime. So I don't believe we're checking to make sure because we have to be in compliance in January. But I don't believe that any of our departments are making less than that minimum for the truly salaried exempt people. So, but we're double checking that. Hey, I had allowed 30 minutes on the agenda for payday, so I don't know if you, since you're finished relatively quickly today, if you want to move on to administrative?
Sure,
or-
let's go ahead.
Okay. Okay, I have the minutes of September 23rd.
Okay, got a chance to review those?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Okay, and move to approve the record of proceedings from September 23rd. All those in favor?
Aye.
And then the next thing I have are the supplements. We don't have any change orders, but you do have supplements for review only.
Why the TV was fuzzy last night, I don't know why.
That help? Because I have some stuff.
Yeah, no, it's. My drawer has some cleaners in it, but I'm gonna put some cleaners in this thing.
Randy, do you want these?
I did hand out the enrollment brochure for the senior citizens luncheon. It's on October 17th, and I'll need to know by next week if you're gonna be able to attend.
It's still $5.
$5.25.
$5.
Yeah. Randy, did you ever decide about KAC?
Yeah, I just want, I don't know, some motel, I just want.
But you do want to be signed up? Okay.
Still remember something.
Yes, it's the 13th through, it's the 12th through the 14th or something.
A lot of vehicles.
Yeah, let's go. Throw in a boat once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, KAC is the 12th, 13th, and 14th.
Okay.
Is that a first part of the week?
Yes.
What does that stand for?
Kansas Association of Counties.
That's kind of the,
So
that's kind of the big convention.
The new commissioners wasn't there to be too late then, or too early or whatever.
They can sign up for it.
There you go.
What, are you gonna go to something,
You're gonna
Joan?
go, Joan?
I don't,
She will.
if I don't get elected, I'm paying for it, so
Yeah,
that's what I agreed to.
Yeah.
you can do the same thing anyway.
How much is it?
I believe it's like $370.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think that, I didn't know this, but I think that there
Yeah, I
is
saw it.
the opportunity to register at the door also.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have time to see what
Look at it,
happens.
could you
It's-
do one day maybe or something, or would be less, or is it that much for everything?
There is, it's either all, or I think that you can do one day, I'd have to double check.
One day or the whole thing, I think.
One day or the whole
12th,
thing?
13th, and 14th.
Or
right?
that- that's the other way
Right.
around.
One day.
Can you do one day? But you gotta pay for everything, is what you're getting
No, there's a one-day price too.
There's a one, yeah, I think a one day, use two prices, one day or.
Yeah, I don't, and I don't have all that right here, I don't remember offhand
at.
what the one day
Be
price is.
something worth of it.
Generally Wednesday, I think is the main educational day, but I don't have the agenda in front of me either, so.
It'll be the fifth.
And I didn't get hotels for any of you since it's just in Wichita.
We'll stay in Peabody.
Yeah.
Since you're all going, and they are going to need the voting delegate. So, are you ready to make a motion to name your voting delegate, first alternate and second alternate today?
There's a lot to this.
You can do that?
Thought we did that, but make a motion for the chairman to be the voting delegate.
I'll second that.
Okay, been moved and seconded. We need an alternate then, right?
I'll make a motion that be Randy Dolphy.
You want to vote on this motion first,
Okay.
since it wasn't included?
Okay, this is for the
For the,
voting delegate.
yes,
All those in favor?
Aye.
okay.
For the alternate?
Then we have a first alternate and a second
Okay.
alternate.
So you naming Randy the first alternate.
Okay.
Do this in one
Yes.
motion.
Okay, I'll second that. Moved and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
I guess that leaves you the second alternate.
Yes. Can't get out of it no way, huh?
Okay, I'll get that ready and send that in.
Boy, that wind is howling.
It's gonna be for the next 2 weeks.
I mean, is that what makes it so loud in here? It reminds me of a car. You know, you have cars that aren't sealed very well, you get a lot of wind and road noise.
Try to get back on the people that sealed your window.
I was gonna say, all that
They did
money's
the
been
same
on
thing.
windows.
Well, we didn't get them sealed, they're just same wood windows that were restored with, and then, commercial storm windows, so it does still howl, but we don't get air coming in, and we don't get snow and rain coming in like we were, and pieces aren't falling off, so it's a huge improvement. Plus these, you'll notice the storm windows are open on some of these, because we
That'll
open.
cause a whistle.
Yes, it will, so. But even with it all closed down, we sometimes still get the howling winds, just the nature of the windows. In your packet, you had a memo from Susan Robson about the tax sale, just an update.
So I didn't see a date on that when she projects to have that tax sale.
She hasn't projected that out yet.
Because I know there's a lot of people who are anxious that actually are buyers for properties and have been really getting anxious to have the sale. So now there's only 71 properties.
Yes.
Do they kind of wait on some of that because of hoping that the people will actually pay?
A lot of them have, because originally there was 167.
Yeah.
Well, you've got, there's notices and then
Right.
Yeah, and
there's
then it
title
has to
work
go to
and.
The title work has been done, but we have to serve all the notices. That's what she's saying in the memo, that, I mean, once service is done and accepted, that's when usually we know a little bit more about when the date will be. So,
Sheriff's Department.
It's a deal that you, once you find out what it all takes, you think, wow.
I know, well, that's what I couldn't believe that there were so many properties on there. I mean,
Oh.
even,
Well, yeah,
yeah.
but I'm talking about the process of.
Yeah. Well, that leaves a lot to the sheriff's department because they have to have their deputies to serve them, don't they?
Yeah, to serve some, but it's just, the whole process needs to change.
Yeah.
I mean, it costs the county a lot of money,
Yeah.
the time
It's very cumbersome.
to get it all done. If you don't pay your taxes, if that money's not there, somehow you ought to be able, don't have to do something. I mean,
Yeah.
all the other things that they require.
Yeah. And yeah, it shouldn't cost the county more to have to go through the process to, you know what I mean, like to do, doesn't seem right.
We just had its last meeting when Janine was here, $600 and some thousand in back taxes that people aren't paying. A lot of money.
Okay,
Then you had mentioned about SCED weatherization.
yes, I got some new information at the SCED monthly meeting last week. You know, they were here 2 months ago or so talking about the weatherization program, of which Marion County just became part of again. And of course, that's a very successful program. And gee, they've already done, I forgot how many properties in the region, but it's bunches of them. But they've expanded that program that even on residential now, it includes HVAC work, which means a property owner could get new heating and air conditioning in it. It used to be insulation, windows, that kind of
Used to be
thing.
heater only too.
What?
It used to be heater only.
Well, they call it HVAC, so I'm taking for granted it's both.
Oh, no.
But they've included public housing authorities, of which we have several around the county.
Yes,
And those properties qualify for weatherization. So if we know of any one in public housing authority, I think Hillsborough, Marion, Peabody,
Yeah, but
Tampa, maybe Gossel too, have public housing authorities. And they can get a lot of work done.
You just have to apply.
You just have to apply. It's pretty, it's a fairly simple, straightforward process. And then, they send the inspectors out and inspect it and see what actually needs to be done. They have their own contractors. They come in and do it.
Oh, really? So that people don't actually have to fork over like half
Nope.
or?
Nope.
Wow, that's crazy.
There's
Cool.
no out-of-pocket money if you qualify.
Mhm.
It's a great program.
I'm sorry, I did get a bunch of extra ones from your office a couple weeks back, and I distributed them to the councils in Tampa, Lincolnville, and I can't even remember that last one, but I still need one more packet for, I gotta get Lost Springs yet, so I probably need about another dozen.
Do any of you know housing authorities? Have you ever been to one of these?
I have years ago, in Junction City I was.
Yeah. Well, there's housing authorities that has surplus budget. I don't think they'll qualify for anything like that. I mean, when they've got money.
Well, and they may not.
Yeah.
But, I just know there's some authorities around
Yeah.
that maybe have some
Maybe-
older
that's what-
properties that might qualify.
Yeah, that's why I was asking that because, like even the Tampa project up there, they've been there 10 years probably.
Quite a while.
More than that, probably closer to 15.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
remember when we put.
But anyway, that's an addition, so I
Yeah, that's
wanted
cool.
to.
Do you guys publicize, like, on the county website, like how a place would go about applying for that, or they just need to go to that?
What would be nice if we could actually get that application out there to where it could be.
It may be out there. I'll have to double check. I don't remember if we put it
People
out
could
there.
just print it out.
Yeah, then that way they don't have to come down
I think we may have put it out.
And that's the biggest thing, is getting the word out.
here. Sure.
So that's,
But it's,
Yeah, it'd be
even the
nice.
tenants can apply, and it doesn't matter how well off the landlord is. It's all based off the
Wish you
tenant's,
would've known that.
tenant's income.
the people would have been by far more served in local paper if we would put that weatherization program in there rather than Novak is blasted by the wind.
See, Marion County used to be part of that, and then there was about a 3 or 4 year period where we were not.
Oh,
They
really?
pulled Marion County back in this year.
Why did they take you guys out? Why
Well,
did
they used to be different areas of state. It was broke up, and one
Oh,
time
sure.
Marion County would be in north central, and then we'd be under SCED, which is south central.
We do have that on our
Cool.
website.
And
And they can print it off from there? Let's see.
SCED is the most active of all of the CDCs in the state by far. In fact, they've taken over all the servicing of loans now for even southwest Kansas. SCED in Wichita controls that.
So Tina, the hacking situation that's been in the paper as well, is that pretty much under control right now?
It is, and if we get into any detail on that, then we would want to discuss that in executive session for security reasons.
Well, I was citing what the paper did, they didn't care about security, so.
Well, if we get into much detail, but yes.
So that
it
was
is.
a simple question.
Yes.
Is it under
Yes.
control? Yes, okay.
Anything else, Tina?
No,
Administrator?
that was all I had.
Well, the next item is not until 9:45, so I
He's
guess
out
we
there.
we could take a 10-minute break and see if Bryce wants to come up a little early.
He's
He
here.
said
Oh, he's here, okay, then we'll keep going.
Hi.
Unless you still need a 10-minute break.
Yeah, I might do that in.
Look at all that paperwork.
Are you ready?
You probably need that for 10 minutes, the way it looks.
Probably. I don't know what that means, but anyways. All right, follow up from last week. Information on the leasing program for the skid steer. Contacted all three of them. It's highlighted in the grayish area underneath them. Basically, Victor L. Phillips comes out to $10,161 a year for 3 years. Balloon payment of $29,800. They planned on 400 hours. It's actually, they got set up per month, but I just took the monthly total times 12. For a grand total, roughly $60,000. Now, that's based on a $55,000 purchase price because the extra $5,000 included the extra warranty, which we wouldn't have based on just the lease. So that's where that comes into play.
You wouldn't have the extra warranty with a lease?
Well, it wouldn't be included in the price. I mean, essentially, they go.
You can have it, it's just not in the
Yeah,
price.
yeah. So the Trailhead Partners was $10,707.60 for 3 years. Then grand total then a balloon payment of $39,704 for a total of $71,800. And then Bobcat was, they just do 5 years at $8,000 a year. And at the end of that time, you turn it back in, or you can buy it anytime you want, just by paying the remaining balance on simple interest.
But they didn't give you a rate?
No, they did not. Just kind of.
So that's on 250 hours.
Right, we fully anticipate around 250 hours, not knowing for sure. I mean, obviously, the one we have now, we've only used 100, so that's 2.5 times what we had planned. So basically, every one of them says at the end of the lease, they want back a 50-60% machine, whatever that terminology is as far as hours, value, stuff like that. So, and I think any of them are probably, the fact is, anytime you ever want to buy it, it's just a matter of negotiating a whenever you want to do that, negotiate with them.
So we have 100 hours on our machine now, is that what I heard you say?
On average, we've had, it's an 07 and it's got like 1,100 hours.
Okay,
So
so
right
when you
now-
had said that the reason why we want to buy, or you want to buy this one here is because we don't use the other one as much as we would be if we use this one, am I right?
I'm gonna guarantee you right now, we're gonna use this one so much more than we did the other one.
So then the fact that we've only been using 100 hours, basically,
Mhm.
we would anticipate it to go up.
Yes.
And we might have to even watch that.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing too, is, you know, we just got so much work that we can do with it, so.
So what do they do when you go over those hours?
Well, that's the whole thing, is any of them are always, the fact is, anytime that you feel like you're going over that lease and you don't wanna pay the difference, you can either quit the lease as of then and get a new one, or you can buy it outright. They did not say anything about what it costs to go over the lease, so that's just what we said. You know, and that's, I'm talking with Jesse and the guys, I think we anticipate the 250 will cover what we need, so.
They usually make it, when you go over the lease, they usually make it to where you just buy the machine, it's not cheaper.
Yeah.
Usually if you go over the house.
They're like anybody else. They either want a very good used machine coming back, or they want you to buy it.
Yeah.
You know, so now, there's some paperwork involved. The other one, White Star told me, he said, you know, when you want it, he says, you tell me. He says, I drop it on the ground. He says the financing company will call you in the next week and work out the arrangements. He said, you're ready to go. Just, He says, I don't even have to have signed paperwork to do that, so that was kind of interesting, but.
A little different than a vehicle. and-
Yeah. So, but, you know, I mean, the biggest, you know, obviously the case is gonna be a little less expensive, but the, again, the biggest thing that we like about the White Star is, or the Bobcat is the reversing fan, you know, when we're out mowing and stuff like that. Those, I've worked with several other models, and whether that plugs up, you gotta stop and spend 10-15 minutes every hour trying to clean out the radiator, everything else so it doesn't overheat. He'll actually shut down the machine if it gets hot enough. So that's one of the big perks about them. But again, and we've got all Bobcat attachments, but again, like going with the fact is they say that all their attachments will work and stuff. So.
Okay, so just to clarify a little bit here on the top part up here where you have Victor Phillips case, I should say. So if we lease it for 3 years, we would ultimately pay $60,280.
That's the way I got it figured.
That's the way
That
I
was those
figured.
3-year payments plus the balloon payment.
And if we just bought that out, what was the price? $60,000.
Well, bought it outright would include that extra warranty would be the $60,000.
Okay. So the $60,000 that would include the warranty
Yes.
if we just buy it outright.
Mm.
And by leasing it, we pay the $60,000 and then we pay the additional $5,000. Is that what you're saying?
No. If you lease it, you wouldn't pay that extra $5,000 because it's.
That's included.
Okay.
But then you don't own it at the end of the
Yes.
3 years.
You're saying you think you can get by with a 250-hour machine?
Honestly, yeah. And of course, there's still the option is we could lease it for 1 or 2 or whatever it is and buy it outright too, so.
So it's interesting that that one is only 250 hours and the other two are showing 400 hours.
And that's just, you know, I said, we said, let's just plan on 250 and that's what they figured out for 400. I don't know what their plans are or whatever else to determine those hours. That's just what they return back to. Now then, you look at the other way is, if we do stick with the 250, you know, are we actually paying extra for 400? I don't know. You know, that's, they're like everybody else, they're just trying to get equipment out there.
Doesn't look like it based on your figures as I can see here. Doesn't look like we'd be paying more for that, especially if you compare the 60,000 to the 64.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, the 64904 is just the, is going to be the 5 years of the lease of 40,000 and whatever the simple interest left based on that. So that's why I would put plus is 64904 plus whatever the interest would be for the.
Did you figure what the interest would be by leasing it?
No, they gave Case and John Deere gave me the interest rate. Bobcat did not give me anything. So, and basically that was. I think that's just their company-wide plan, so much per month. And I suppose based on the equipment, and then when you want to buy it, it's handled through a bank or something like that just to pay off the amount.
Be nice to know what their rate is. I mean,
Where do you set on your machine budget this year?
With the money I have left, and we have rental equipment, I think we were at like 120, 130,000, Tina. Somewhere around.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it was. But.
You got nothing else as of right now?
Well, other than the next thing is we got flail mower, or the excavator flail mower bids in, so we can talk about that. The only thing we'd really talked about was trying to get a tractor-mounted flail mower to go out and mow them, but that's something we can take care of with boom mower for now. So I would like to get one down the road.
So if we take this one right here, though, I think it's gonna be, it's either White Star or the John Deere, but the total is 64,904. So that says 5 years at $8,000 a year. That's for the 250. Okay, so that's $40,000. Okay, so then what would the payoff on that be?
Basically, whatever
Because it says
24. either 24,904 plus however long you carried out the loan, or if you paid it outright.
It says 64,904 plus.
And that's all he said, was that's just how they set it up, and then whenever you want to buy it, or if you don't want to buy it, you turn it back in and get something different. So assuming that, you know, you got the end of the lease and say the payment was 24,904, you wanted to just pay cash, you paid 24,904 the way you understand.
So after 5 years, what would your thoughts be? Would you think it'd be time for another vehicle, or do you think it would be time to, or would you actually be better off buying it?
Honestly,
Think.
These machines don't really wear out, per se, that, you know, if you take care of them, maintenance-wise, everything else, there's no reason they shouldn't last, 15, 20 years, or any problem. Now, these will go through a little bit more abuse than like a tractor or whatever else would, but it all comes down to how you take care of it and treat it out there, so.
So you're thinking that if it's a good machine, that it should last more than 5 years?
Yeah.
Then I would think
And honestly, you know, those skid steers without any problems should run 5, 6, 8,000 hours, and they barely any problems. So, and to say that they go bad, you always have some problems, but every one of them you always have that issue. But again, you know, obviously Bobcat they invented the machine. That's why everybody calls it a Bobcat, even though it's a skid steer or whatever else. But you know, they've come up with a lot of technology that others haven't. But
So normally I was always under the impression that when you do a lease, it's when you expect that you're gonna need to turn it over in a period of time and stuff like that. But if your intention is that perhaps it would last, then maybe leasing would not be the best financial option.
But if you got a 5-year-old machine that's really good shape yet, and you need to buy it at the end for 24,904.45, you can't go out on the market and find anything but a piece of junk for that.
definitely. Well, and that's the other thing is when you get a new piece of equipment, you know what it's like from the start.
But you already paid 40,000 into that piece of machine.
Yeah.
But can you return it, like if you haven't replaced the tracks? Those are expensive.
Well, the tracks are probably going not be a warranty issue because those wear out regardless. Tires are the same way. That's just one of the things you deal with. When you lease heavy equipment, one of the things you have to replace is, well, typically when they bring out a new machine, you swap tires, and they take the old machine back with new tires. So that's just one of those things that you have to deal with. So, but it's six to one, half dozen the other. If you don't want the money to come out all at one time, maybe leases. You know, you can lease for a year or two and then make a decision. Or there's just basically all the options there are.
Well, yeah, because we have some other equipment that we have leased.
Yeah.
You know, and we could look at all of that on an annual basis and see what might be the most
Yeah.
cost-effective way going forward.
Sure. Honestly, some
Because
counties.
That way it doesn't crimp your budget either.
Sure. Honestly, some counties actually go out and lease everything.
I know.
On a 1, 2, 3, 5-year budget, and every so many years they swap out equipment. You get brand new equipment and everything else, but you never do have those assets built up or whatever the case may be. So, but leasing like that typically, it costs you a lot of money because all the money's going out and you're never getting anything in return other than new lease equipment that you never own. So.
Yeah, but is that important for our situation? Having an asset list?
Well,
If we've got good equipment, that's the main thing.
well, yeah, and honestly, that's what we faced this year was we kind of got hit a lot with repairs, but that's a crapshoot. You never know. Some years you'll not have any problems. Other years you. So, but like I said, that's just I came back with you on those results.
What are you looking at, rough price for something else here, the rotary drum mower bid?
Those bids come in about 32,000, and that does not include 2 trips back and forth. We'd have to take the excavator down to Victor L. Phillips to get it put on. So
This is for the Traco.
yes,
So if we go ahead and purchase both of those, we pretty much burn through the budget for the year.
The return on investment as far as holding its value is better with the White Star, isn't it?
with the Bobcat.
That's what I've figured out.
Like I said, typically that Bobcat and vetted it, they're considered you know, the best on the market per se, simply because that they've, but,
But I see some 2005 models still going for $25,000.
yeah.
So, I mean, I think they hold their value a little better.
I mean, like,
It's just the ease of maintenance when you've got several different operators.
well,
It makes a
honestly,
difference too.
yeah, honestly. And like I said, that's one of the good things about the Bobcat is their maintenance is extremely easy. When you open up the back, your starter, your alternator, everything is right there. I mean, you don't have to fight with the radiator stuff, and that's what's nice, because they've got that horizontally opposed engine compared to the other ones with the, you have to deal with the radiators and stuff, so. But you'd hope to say you buy a new machine, you wouldn't have those issues for a long time, but other than the reversing fan to blow that out, because I can tell you, I ran a John Deere last year, and I was mowing grass when it was dry, and I literally had to stop every hour just to blow it out. It shut down on me one time, it got so hot, and it was very, very frustrating. But there wasn't you can do it here, when dry grass, and the same situation here if we're out in the change or whatever else.
But then to go back into your budget, you guys are gonna sell the current one, you guys.
Yes.
Yeah. Back in.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, any other questions from the commission? Want to act on
I just like to hear, you know, it's 65,000, if you pay it outright, plus the 35,000, there's 100,000, you only got 13,000 left in your budget.
it?
I mean, if that's where it's at, somewhere around that neighborhood. Maybe you could start the lease or something, and for a year, what you want to spend this year's equipment budget for this year. But yet I don't want to be sitting at $10,000 in equipment budget and then something else breaks down. So, 10, 13,000. That's, I guess I'll just throw it out there that I'll make a motion that we purchase the Bobcat at 64,905, start the lease, and if we have any money left at the end of the year, that the extra money in the equipment budget goes to finish the lease off, if we have any. That gets us through the end of the year.
Paying it ahead anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd second that. Okay.
So you're just leasing it then for a couple months, basically?
Yeah, I don't know what that's gonna cost us.
Will they do that?
And like I said, when it comes to the lease, when you're ready to buy it, you set up an account with the bank, whatever else, and just pay that difference.
And I'd like for you to check on, make sure that we're not gonna get a
Well, we-
$5,000 penalty or something
Well,
like
yeah,
that
because
for
if
early
you
payoff.
go
Yeah.
But, you
Think
know,
about
we'd be
that.
basically, if we paid some more at the end of the year, we'd just be paying the lease ahead.
Yeah.
I don't think that's actually the way they all work. Sometimes they have clauses.
You might check on that.
Yeah, I would like to check with them, make sure that we're not gonna get, you know, a 5,000 ding for some reason that we're paying ahead,
Right.
or 10,000, it's hard to say.
Okay.
Without seeing their paperwork, well, you can't.
Chairman, are you gonna vote on that motion? Because it was moved and seconded.
It's been moved and seconded that we go ahead with that 5-year lease. Any other discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Not all those in favor. I'm not in favor.
Okay.
So is that what you're saying? Instead of all those in favor?
Yeah, I asked them, all those in favor. Randy and I both said yes.
Okay, so
Opposed?
to go ahead with the 5-year lease?
Yes,
I'd like to
that's
get
what
the
we started
information
with.
first. Okay, I'm gonna say no, because I'd like to get the information first.
Okay.
Okay. Two on.
That's confusing.
Okay, what else you have there?
The excavator flail mowers came in. The low bid was from Victor L. Phillips for a Loftus 51-inch battle axe. The total was $31,280. The only thing is that they want us to take the machine to Wichita and back to finish the piping and installation. So we have those 2 trips. Second bid came in at $43,245, and we have to take the machine to Foley because they said a CAT machine. They wanted to make sure that they had it hooked up by CAT personnel to make sure everything was okay. And that was for a Fecon or Fecon, F-E-C-O-N. And then the last one came in from, we had a Can Equip, which is a Bradco by Paladin. It's the one that Saline County actually had and demoed. Jesse and Tom saw it last year. I'm sorry, this is the one we'd have to take to Foley. So their price was $38,150 plus whatever piping would be. And then the last one was Caterpillar at $52,599. Now this first one, I'm not aware of it. I mean, we just turned it over to these suppliers and said, this is what we have. We want at least a 42-inch that's all plumbed and ready to go. Tell us what you got. And so that's what they come back with. So.
Have you showed us any pictures yet?
I have some pictures if you want to look at these.
I think you did at one time, didn't you?
Okay.
I think the pictures I showed you might have been for it's basically this, I believe it's that one there. That's the one that was quoted.
You say that's a 42-inch?
That first one, I think that's a 51-inch. Here's a picture of another one. And I guess that's all the pictures I have.
How big a tree will it handle?
Well, most of them said they could go up to 12-inch. Now, our plan is not to do 12-inch, it's just to be able to reach up higher and get, vertically more than anything else. Most of these, they show like ground cover, stuff like that, but you can use them any way you want to. I believe that the first one, that loft nest, I believe was direct drive, which the other ones are belt driven. Now, I don't know obviously, you'd think direct drive would be the way to go. You wouldn't have belt slippage wearing out, stuff like that, but again, there's not a lot of information out there as to those. But like I said, I'm very confident with the winter time and stuff like that, we could be using that for several months and still not come over close to where it would be. So those things there, I'm sure they're not going to offer any kind of lease simply because of the wear and tear and possible that. So there's really not much. Those people just take them till they run them till they are done and they get a new one. So
There's many different thoughts out there on this kind of stuff. That's why I asked to see which one. I haven't seen one.
well, and like I said, those just come in Friday. I tried to get a hold of salesman to find out more information about it. He didn't get back with me, so if you want, we can sure wait on that. So this is obviously not urgent. We just went out with them so that we could have that information. So, but, like I said, if you want me to, I can come up with more information.
You would use that on ditches and everything, right?
Well, ditches not so much as I'm looking at the vertical reaching with trees, hedgerows
Yeah,
especially.
we've got so many ditches that you could have
Right.
5, 6, 7-inch
Sure,
trees
sure.
in the bottom.
Well, and that brings up, it's either that or with the forestry mulcher. I don't want to go that big with that, but I mean, that's something if we're using the forestry mulcher on the skid steer and go down through a ditch and encounter a big tree, we'll probably say, no, we're just going to cut it down instead of worry about that. But this one here will definitely handle it. I mean, I can get a video or whatever I'll show you. I mean, it just basically pulverizes everything into small little chips, just like a chipper.
You say Jesse and Tom looked at one from what county?
Saline County. That was the Bradco by Paladin, and they're kind of, I guess, considered the Cadillac. That's what most people push, but it's $10,000 more.
My question, Bryce, would be, is after a year they would have some sort of would they fess up, tell us the truth, whether it's worth it?
Oh, they did the same thing. In fact, as I pretty much used their requirements, they sent it out there, said they had John Deere some kind of machine, said this is what we have, this is what we're looking for, and that was their little bid that came in. Now, they said obviously it was a lifesaver when you go out as far as labor and equipment and everything else as far as doing that. But as far as using anything else, I don't know if they've used anything else.
Well, my question to you, did they buy that?
Yes.
Okay, after 1 year, I would think that was a year ago, wouldn't they have some sort of feelings for it by now?
like I said, when I talked, I don't know if they've used it. They typically use it in the winter months because that's when you
Yeah, I
have
understand.
down. But like you said, when they used it last year, they were satisfied with it. But again, without knowing this other machine, and I guess I could go back and check. Because I mean, there's really not you can go search on the website, whatever else, and you come up with 12 different brands, but we just turn it over to our equipment suppliers and say, hey, this is what we got. So if you want more information, I can definitely get back
Alright.
or follow up with Swain County and see what they have to say.
I don't know nobody from Swain County right now offhand, except for the commissioners up there that can see, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I actually talked to their maintenance man. And,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He said, yeah, when they used it, and Jesse and Tom said they both liked it too. It's just,
Go to a higher price machine.
well, right. And again, I don't know anything about the other one, but obviously this one here, but the Bradco is, like I said, comes recommended, but I don't know anything about
And that was the only one that was direct drive?
No, I believe the first one was the low bid was the direct drive, and that might be something to check out too, because the belts would be nice if you ever got really stumped or stopped it. Maybe the belts would slip and sort of, but direct drive, I don't know how that coupling is worked. You're talking 1,800 to 2,600 RPM, so it's definitely spinning around, and so why don't I just do some more checking into it and get back with you and find out some more information.
What would be the turnaround if we decided to go ahead and buy one or whatever we're gonna do?
Most of them said 30 to 45 days.
30 to 45,
Yeah.
because,
Not that big a deal.
you're gonna get in the winter pretty soon.
Sure.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it, but it will.
Yeah, especially when it's 87 degrees today, and we're, so. But I'll get some more information from that day.
I wonder, we had Countryside Landscaping
Mhm.
5, 6 years ago, I don't remember how many years ago it's been. And at the Peabody job down there, it hadn't been touched since then. And 5 years it was over the road.
Mhm.
With the hedge being out there probably 12 foot from the edge of the road, maybe
Mhm.
10 to 12 foot. So, I'm wondering how many more of those miles that we did back then
Sure.
needs what we just did at Peabody.
Honestly, like I said, I drive, paved roads are bad enough, let alone the rock roads, and let alone the dirt roads. The hedges are just solid, that they haven't been touched. And
Right.
Yeah, and this is a perfect spot where he goes down and just matter of, I'd say, an hour. I mean, depending on how long this could be, an hour to a couple hours, or like I said. The other option we've talked about is if we get to the point and we feel it's warranted, maybe we could just talk to the landowner, whether the trees are on him or right on the water, we just get rid of those trees, because they're just a constant maintenance issue, so. But I'll find out more information,
All right.
get back with you on that, so.
Anything else?
Oh, yeah, went to the MCC meeting last week. Honestly, in my 27 years, that's one of the best meetings I've been to. I was really impressed with that. Learned new ways of string stabilization, some right-of-way information. One of the things that I'd like to talk to you about was the use of social media. Evidently, most people are getting fantastic feedback on social media, as in making their own web pages for Road and Bridge or whatever else. You can do daily updates, you can do closings. They said it's surprising. They were actually expecting more negative comments. They said those have actually taken care of themselves, because the other people that comment on there shame them for what it's worth. So that some people has actually put in their daily bridge information, daily road closing. So it's something that can be updated instantaneously. I know going through the website, people say, "Oh, we got to go through the county website." This is just a Facebook page where people pull it up, and So I guess I want to get your input. What do you think about that? I feel it could be advantageous. Now they do put some restrictions on there. There's no foul language and stuff like that. That's all blocked. As a matter of fact, whatever they do there. So, but it was, like I said, they have got very, very good results and very few negative comments. And like I said, they kind of get shamed to where they don't put them on there. So.
Who would be the administrator?
Well,
Road and Bridge, or?
Well, and that's something to work out. Most of them set it up to where, the engineer or whatever was the administrator, but yet the office manager could put stuff on there in case things got called in. It's just one of those things that could be whatever they wanted to, but it was nice. If you say you have water over the road, you can take a picture of it, upload it to Facebook right there, and you know, it would be instantaneous. So, but anyway, just something to think about, no urgency, but, like I said, 3 places in Iowa were doing it, and they've had really, really good luck, so. Good.
Well, I will tell you that I am 100% for social media. It is the wave of the future. I mean, anything less than that anymore, we're going backwards. People need to be involved, especially in Road and Bridge. You're always gonna have a couple fruitcakes out there that are gonna say something you might not like, but you do have good things, but I'm all for social media.
A lot of people are putting other job applications and stuff on there. You know, you get more people that way than you do the old way, but
Yep. I do.
it's something we can check into. And I don't know how we do that with the county webpage. I mean, that's all logistics work out, but.
I'm not sure that that's the way it would go anyway, but I mean, really to get the input from the public and to get the information that you're seeking, you need to reach out to the people, so.
Well, and we
I'm just
do
going
have
for
a
that.
policy on that for
Okay.
price, and we do have specific things that have to be included. So
Okay.
there are several departments that do have a Facebook page right now, so it is allowed.
Okay.
So it'd
Well-
just be something we need to work with,
Sure.
work through.
I think it's a good idea because, you know, like you said, we get a weather event or something, you can get some information out much more quickly.
Sure. The other thing was real advantageous was a lot of them said they hooked up emergency management, their sheriff, and so when they liked and shared each other's information, it crossed those boundaries. So if we had some information they didn't have and vice versa, it linked them, so, kind of interesting, so. Probably a biggie here, Diamond Vista follow-up from last week. We did have the meeting, or I was there because I wasn't there because of the meeting, but Jesse went. It was Thursday at 10. Steve Williams was not there. Jeff made note several times that he was on vacation and he was taking this phone call. So they left it up to basically the on-site guy. They're still saying they're not responsible for all these issues. They still have not made a schedule. And I followed up with that Tanner said that they made this plan back in May 18 that they were going to maintain the roads every so often, whatever else. I actually sent a request of 8/16 requesting the schedule, and then obviously the meeting, I requested a meeting at 9/13. We didn't get the schedule this week and a half ago either. So, you know, I'm kind of wondering, at the meeting Thursday, they wanted to look at 2 areas that were in question. One of them is 350th and Diamond. And that's a structure that wasn't in shape to begin with. We'd actually talked to them, said we would supply the culverts if they would install. Never did hear any confirmation or whatever else about that. The one at 340th East of Limestone has a steel plate going across the top of it. And they're the ones that installed the steel plate, and they still want to do nothing to fix it. So, again, something has to be done, but I've got pictures. I went out and Saturday when I was out and about, I took pictures of the steel plate, and so. The other thing that's been brought up that I don't know if they realize that dealing with Sharon, she has to make permanent floodplain plans, and all that drainage and stuff like that comes into play. So they're not only going to have to take care of our needs, but also her needs. And some of the areas where they went through terrace fields and stuff like that, she says obviously something's going to have to be fixed. But based on that, I don't know what the commission wants to do, but I really see no uptick in things. I'm so frustrated we're still getting calls on those roads, and I don't know what it's going to take to fix, other than going to, you know, whether it's pulling the conditional use permit. One thing to think about is maybe the commission will want to go back to them and say, look, it's obvious you guys don't want to fix them. Would you pony up some money for the county so we can go fix them? And then, because they still have not reworked any of the roads from the start. You know, they're working east on their towers, and, you know, we had an agreement that they would go in and rework the roads, and nothing.
And this is something that we've been faced with for a long time. I'm sorry, but I'm just fed up with it myself. And I've been in contact with a lot of people, and I get the phone calls from the people, and I've been saying that now for months and months and months to this commission. They are totally, absolutely not gonna fix them roads. And all the communication and the play nice is not working. My thought is, and I did send Brad a text, I haven't got a response from him yet, but we're gonna have to show a sign of force, and that is, we're gonna have to put the fear of God in them. It's time to say we're gonna shut it down, you fix the roads like we agreed, and then we'll open it back up again. And I'll tell you what, you do that, they'll be here fixing them roads before you bat your eyelashes, because that's our only other option to do. You
Right
can't go
now,
into arbitration, you can't sue them for money, you know,
right now, we're dealing with this on-site deal,
with what?
with the on-site person, right? This Steve.
No, no, that's not, Steve is like their big head honcho in charge of construction. Jeff, the project manager, the local guy is the guy who just started 2-3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And John Beck too is the one that initiated this
Well,
agreement.
yeah, there's been so many.
Yeah, there is, it's a
Yeah.
mess.
Well, I just wondered if you go up the chain with it. I don't expect too much, but I'm just saying, do we go up the chain to try something? Or do we buy her a weird set of bolt cutters that she uses?
Now, there
I'm ready for
is,
that.
according to Expedition Wind, there is a way to shut them down. He says, when you walk in that door, he says, there's a box with a switch that says off and on. He said that does shut them off, but he said you better have very, very good reason, and you better be sure, because it is a federal offense for like $250,000 fine to do that, if not warranted. But, he said that's how you do it. But honestly, I don't know. The other thing is we're going into wintertime, you know, and who knows what's gonna happen then.
And Randy, think of it like this, if they're not gonna be, if they don't have the integrity to do what they signed to begin with, they're not gonna have the integrity to pay us if we go ahead and bill it. So we're gonna either bite the bullet and let them get away with it, which sets a precedent for all future wind farms, or we're gonna step up and put on our big boy pants and take care of it. And that's just, you know, we're gonna have to do, and we have that authority to do it.
Well, that was my next question is, do we need to speak to legal counsel on revoking CEP?
You know, and Brad said right here, this board has the authority to say we revoke it, period. We don't go through no crazy process or anything like that.
Yeah.
We have that authority, we can shut it down right away.
You know, I think we need to go a different direction, because I wouldn't be in favor of shutting that down. I mean, you're talking about a whole, affecting all of those landowners.
No?
Yeah, I mean, you shut that down, they're not gonna get paid.
Well, no. Now, their leases are a separate situation.
Right, but
That's
they're
a separate situation.
Well,
They
So
get
I
their
think
leases
you're
paid,
incorrect
but they
there.
wouldn't get paid for the one.
right, they're not gonna
Right.
get, but the thing is, I've been getting, and I'm not saying there isn't problems up there, is, but I've been getting emails and calls from people within the land farm. Some of them don't have turbines, some of them do, and they say, yeah, we understand there's some issues. But they say that their roads are still far, far better than they ever were to begin with, which I tend to agree with. Yeah, we got some drainage issues. I know we would have to, my thought is, we need to start phasing this. Start on the west end with a phase. Get Kirk and Michael on that phase and say, in this, whatever this phase is, we got these problems, let's get them fixed. Once those are fixed, we can phase them back into the county. Now, I realize that's gonna take an amendment to the RMA. But we're just going here and there and everywhere. And we got a problem, 4 problems here and 3 here, and they're over there trying to finish this wind farm up. And there has to be a way to coordinate this in phases. That's the way I see it.
Okay.
Get a phase done and get that back into the county. Go to the next phase.
That's not gonna work, Mr. Becker. Kurt and Michael already said it. You're dealing with people who are non-compliant. Now, I don't care if they're non-compliant for the whole project, or they're non-compliant for phase 1, 2, and 3. They're refusing to fix these roads. So I don't care how much you slice it and dice it. They're saying they're not gonna fix them. So you want the taxpayers to fix it then?
No, I'm saying they have got to fix it, but I'm talking about getting a phase done. Say, okay, we've got these 2 miles done, 3 miles done. Okay, we got phase 1 done. And I don't know how many phases it needs, 3, 4, whatever.
We tentatively originally agreed that if they got a road done or several roads done as they were going, and we could get Kirk and Michael to do that inspection so that everything was done, we were okay with it. The problem is they haven't touched them. They haven't touched those roads for months.
But I'm just saying, if we come up with a phase, okay, we say, Kirk and Michael, we're gonna rely on you, this phase one, let's get this phase one. Stick to that until that's done.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we got a problem here, we got a problem here, we got a problem here, we got a problem here.
And we have a problem here because we're not willing to step up to the plate and do what has to be done.
Bryce, if we was to take a phase and put a cost on it, let's say if you was to put a cost on it, if the county had to do it, what it would cost us, and how would you feel that, let's say phase one for 10 miles of road costs, for us to go fix it, let's say 95,000, 100,000, I don't know what kind of dollars we're talking about. But if we was to take that and say, we either are gonna have to expend this amount of money to finish this phase one and get you out of here, throw that at them with to try to get, we don't want the taxpayers to pay for it, but yet we want this to wrap up and get on down the road.
Right.
And so I'm just throwing suggestions out. If we know that's whatever kind of cost Bryce can tell us what he thinks it might cost to do a phase of so many miles.
Yeah, I don't care if it's
Yeah.
10 phases.
Yeah.
I mean, we already have the spreadsheet that Kirk and Michael's made up as to the issues. So it's just a matter of going back and doing that. But, you know, I look at the cost of it, but the time and, you know, the resources. If you want to get it done in a good amount of time, we'd have to throw some resources at it. So,
Well, I'm saying throw the amount of money at them first and say, you know, this is what it's gonna cost us to do it. So we would like some answers whether you want to get this first phase done. We wanna move on too, just as much as the next people wanna get this over with and get it on down the road, because in the end, we're gonna end up with it no matter what.
Because what I'm hearing from these people is they feel like not Diamond Vista's the adversary, they're feeling like Kirk and Michael is the adversary.
But see, that's their misconception.
Well,
A lot
whether it's a
because of the
misconception or
press,
not, that's
a
the
lot
way they
because
feel.
of the press, and a lot because of miscommunication, because of the people who have the towers. They wanted them so bad, and that's fine, I'm not going down that path. But a lot of people up there are very, most people don't even know we have a contract. And I've been straightening that up by talking to people, and they don't know that we have a signed contract. They don't even know what is being, because their liaison is not telling them, because that is not his job to do that. It's our job to do that. So I am not in favor of any more pussyfooting around with them. It's been months and months and months, and they have already demonstrated that they have no respect for the contract. They have no respect for the county. They're not gonna do what they're supposed to do, and we're gonna have to get bold and push them. And I'm gonna ask Brad, who also is well aware of what's going on. Do you think that we should continue to play nice, or what do you think we should do? I mean, he has just reported that they are boldly refusing to do what we just said here a couple weeks ago.
It's a tough call.
Welcome to the meeting.
Yeah. That's why you guys get the big dollars. I mean, it's a policy decision, honestly. If you want to start pursuing that, Bryce has talked to them directly. Again, I haven't spoken, but I get the distinct impression from his emails that they're like, no, we're not going to do anything. This one was set up so that until we accept it, the whole thing is still out there. So this dispute continues. It's a matter of just how hard and quickly you want to push.
What do you suggest? How long
I
do you
understand
suggest?
Randy's suggestion, you can go that, the other problem he'll have with that, you have the manpower to even do that with all the other stuff you've got to do? We're almost bidding it anyway.
well, that's, you know, obviously the thing I'd do is, it'd be nice to find that I could hire a contractor to go out and do this, either pay them by the hour, force a count, whatever the case may be, but we're still gonna have to pay that until we get some resolution.
Yeah.
And would we trust them to reimburse us? I mean, we can't trust them to do the job, would we trust them to reimburse us?
It'd have to be contractually bound so that they would be
We have
forced
a
to do so.
contract already.
You know what I mean, though, and more specific performance stuff of a relationship, but I don't know.
I just ask this, Brad, when you got in touch with them, who did you really deal with? Did you deal with Steve, or did you deal with Jeff when you were calling? And
It was primarily, the primary contact was Jeff. And then, as I understood it, they were having the discussions, he and Steve.
okay.
So as far as I know, they were involved, both involved, but
No, I was just saying at the meeting last week, Steve wasn't there and Jeff called in because he was on vacation.
that's not effective.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, is that I guess that was my thought, was it shows you just how they didn't really care, and maybe not taking it seriously. I don't know. But
And am I correct that, I don't know if you were there, but there was quite a few people at one of the areas where the water comes down from the terrace and washes out, and the discussion was handled about fixing the culvert and the drainage and so on, and they totally said they're not gonna do it.
yeah.
Yeah, so
But
what do you do with that?
The other thing we talked about is
Let's sit here and play in the sand some
Yeah.
more. I mean, I'm just up to here with it.
that they talked about, there now has to be, since all this stuff comes out, they now have to have permanent floodplain permits. A lot of that stuff is going on out there, they have to meet with Sharon to make that work. Well, this stuff we're talking about is not going to solve that situation.
Sure.
But
The longer it goes on, the worse it gets.
I don't know, were you involved, were you here when we was talking about maybe looking at phases? Which
I just walked in about that time.
Which would require some type of amendment to the RMA.
Yeah.
To where
Yeah,
we could say phase one needs this, and this is what it may cost. We gotta get that done so we can release it. Get this whole thing done, over and done with.
Yeah, I'm in favor, well, generally in favor of that kind of process, especially, but this one's so unusual in that it's drug on for so long. Typically, if they're in and out in that 6-month time frame that they like to think of, and most of these companies advocate for, you don't really have a lot of this kind of problem. But the phases is still something that I see in most of those agreements, because they want to get in, be done with this portion, especially when it's a large area. This is a large area, the new one is too, so that you at least have this portion as you go done. They benefit, we do too, so that we know it's back to us. It's been restored. We agreed that it was restored from that point on. It's ours. Right now, it's an all or nothing, as I see it. And
I
so,
mean, we're arguing over the whole project.
yeah, and things continue to happen, and they're looking at it like, well, no, we're done, we're off of that. And again, that doesn't deal with the issue that we haven't accepted it. So until we do,
But
it hangs
even
out
on
there.
some of those roads all the way over to the west, which would be their first phase, are tied up with what he's talking
Yeah.
about, they're refusing to fix them.
Yeah.
And so like I just told Mr. Becker, I don't care what you call it, phase 1 or 2 or 3, they're refusing to do it. That is the big picture. They're not wanting to do what they signed to do.
I don't understand the terrace issue, because I thought we resolved that the other day.
No. I thought we resolved it 3 meetings ago. And
Good.
second, and we're not.
But if we have a specific phase,
Yeah.
phase 1, here's what needs to be done. This is the list. Get it done,
Then
and
we
we'll
can
review
accept,
it,
yeah.
and if it's acceptable, you're done with it.
Mhm.
And if they don't do it, Mr. Becker, then what's your next play game?
Well, then we get more forcible. But
And then they're gonna be out of here. They're gonna be out of here. And then we're gonna be holding the bag.
they can't be out of here because we haven't signed off on anything.
They can't break the rules, but they are.
I'm not in favor of shutting down the wind
I
farm.
heard that.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Would it be possible, or would it be helpful to potentially develop phases, because that's something that they want, and put that in with enforcement, phase and a deadline, and if this is not done to the county's satisfaction, then you face this specific consequence, which is the CUP revocation. Just basically a communication with them saying this is where the county is, we are ready to revoke. The only way that you are going to get around that is if you complete this phase with this work to the county's satisfaction by a deadline.
Right.
And then continuing on. And so put the enforcement in with it, but also give them something they want, which could potentially be the phased. I mean, you could make it, potentially, you might be able to do it all together with teeth in it.
So, Brad, that's pretty much what I texted you yesterday. Am I correct that we need to set a date and time with the consequence of, or we'll shut the project down till the roads get complete?
Mhm. The
That-
difference is from what Tina was just saying,
Phases.
Ken is saying he's doing it in phases. that does give them something that they want, which is, there's at least a piece of this. We reduce our liability as we go, and we at least know that this one's done. And we, from the county perspective, know that we can get on those roads without any kind of effective waiver. That we've sometime done something and now said, okay, I guess you're off the hook on that. Or have to chase them for money that we've already spent, which is always tougher to do than get it from them upfront.
Yeah, I think you gotta try to get it up front first.
Yeah, I do too.
And-
So, are you willing to write such a letter, mean and teeth bitey like that will shut for the CUP if X, Y, and Z isn't done by such and such a date?
That's the instruction.
So we
of the
need to
board, yes.
determine what the phases are gonna be.
Mhm.
yeah.
So,
And I'm thinking Bryce is the one that, I don't know, how many miles total are we talking? 90 miles, 80 miles, something like that?
Jack,
But I mean, if you do a phase, that's gonna be one
Right.
geographical area, which is
Yeah.
gonna include several roads.
without going through and making a list, I mean, that's kind of what the spreadsheet said in there was, but we still got, they had agreed to rework the roads before they left. I could just make up a list and send it to you or Brad or whatever else, and then figure out, if you want to use K-15 dividing line, going that there, and then basically maybe spread the other part up into 2 or 3 sections, and just say specifically, itemize exactly what needs to be done in order to meet our satisfaction. And honestly, Kirk and Michael wants to be done with this job too. They want to be out here, they want to go somewhere else. They've trying to work with us to cut the amount of time they're spending out there, because these guys really aren't spending time on the roads, they're just working on their towers. And so, they've been working at it, but honestly, they want to get done with this too, because they don't like being in the middle of a situation where, but
Can't you feel that 15, like he said, would?
I don't know, is that too far?
well, I mean,
Maybe the first phase, we ought to say from the west end, wherever that starts, to, I don't know,
like 3 miles at a time or something.
Falcon or something like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, with I guess I'd probably like to set it up to where, look at it and to obviously work with Tanner and Dave to where, set it up to where maybe 4 or 5 equal areas, something to that effect,
Yeah.
Because some of the roads, there's a lot of issues, some of the roads, there's not much of an issue, but,
It doesn't matter, a phase is a phase.
yeah. So like I said, I can work on that and.
Will that require an amendment to the RMA?
Yeah, right now it's an all or nothing, so we would amend it. It could be anywhere from 4 or 5 to 8, or whatever you felt like, okay, at least we could identify 3 areas here that with minimal amounts of effort could be cleaned up, be done, and so we make some progress.
Yeah.
They limit their liability and we get out from under this whole problem with them, and then just know where the big issues remain.
Do they have to be, we can do it on our side, but do they have to agree to that
Yes.
too? Yeah.
Yeah, it's mutual.
And again, as soon as we go in and start working on those roads, they're gonna say, hey,
Yep,
you
that's fine.
bought the roads.
That's what I thought, is whatever makes logical sense to you guys in terms of, well, these would be easy, so let's phase it this way. We can get rid of some things that we know then, we don't have to worry about talking to them anymore on that. It's done, we don't have problems there, and then just deal with what's left, because we know we have some that are gonna be major arguments.
Because we're gonna have to accept it before we can release
Right.
phase 1 to begin with.
From 15 west, split that in 2. Start.
That's a pretty good sized area.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big area, I would
Split
think
the
that ought to be split.
In 2 and.
So what is the time frame you coming up with for each phase? How long are you gonna give them to do a couple miles of road?
I'm just saying, split that in 2 areas, and the first one, we start on the furthest west area and get a cost. I want a cost in there of what you think it's gonna take. Either you pay us or you do it, one of the 2.
That's 2 different issues, and then having them pay us if we do it, or are we giving them the option then for us to
I would
pay
give them
it?
the option myself, but.
Well,
I
if
don't-
they're gonna pay us, like Bryce said, we can hire somebody to go do it.
Yeah.
The nice part about them paying for it is, of course, I doubt they're gonna do that kind of a blanket check.
Chances are
But
slipping.
we would then control the quality of what gets done. We have someone that's hired directly for our purposes. That's an advantage. I'm willing to bet they'd look at that and go, I don't think so.
Because
They're
everything in
gonna
your
wanna bring their
contract says
people.
reasonable.
Mhm.
That's their legal wiggle room out. They won't pay for anything that is on, and you know they can do it cheaper than if you pay somebody.
Sure.
So they're
Yeah.
not gonna pay, they're gonna get out just like Forest New York.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying in that 1 or 2 calls,
Well,
right?
they really have, we haven't heard a thing about the force majeure since that meeting.
Really?
I think they just going on with the fact is that,
That they're just not gonna fix it no matter what. Okay, but yeah, see, I don't think they're gonna pay. I'm just going to make sure that's out there, that I don't think they're gonna pay, but if you wanna go down that road.
You gotta try something, Diane. I mean, we're sitting here just
I think,
spending,
I know, but
and we finally,
we have another option.
yeah. And I think it maybe comes with that. I mean, if I got a commission that's willing to try that, I'm willing to try it too. See what, give them all chances.
Well, let's give
I
them
can-
every possible opportunity.
I can give you the rest hopefully by the end of the week on costs and stuff like that, so.
Didn't they say they wanted to be done by the end of October?
Yeah.
That's just
Isn't that what they said
that's just what they
this meeting?
said, but again, they haven't shown me on the schedule they can do that.
I understand.
Yeah.
They said that, but what they're doing is two different things.
Well, and they're just getting done, all their towers and stuff may be done, but the rest of this, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I've asked for that schedule and got nothing, and, so.
Yeah, if they pull out in 30 days, what's our options then?
We haven't released the road, so they still are
But-
liable.
Do we take that to a lawsuit?
We can't. We signed a contract that says we can't sue them for monetary.
Well,
Only,
We have a bond
yeah,
also.
there's a bond,
We have
and we
a
have the
bond,
breach
but how much is
provisions
that
in that
bond?
entire agreement.
I don't have that in my head, I mean, I'd have to
okay,
look.
I
It's a
don't,
performance bond, I don't remember what that amount is.
it's not a lot, but it's not gonna pay for all the roads.
I can find out.
I'd be curious what it is.
Okay.
You know,
Well,
I
I
can,
guess that's where we're at, is we're trying to figure out the bottom line. If they pull out, we're gonna go there anyway. I mean, that's what we're gonna do, so we're trying to give them a chance here to redeem themselves and not sit here and lie to us like he did last 2 weeks, a week ago, or something, whatever. I mean,
Mhm.
Okay. Does that suffice for direction until Bryce can determine
Well, Tina's still getting
what
us
the
more
phases
information.
would be?
yep,
We'll have to make a motion to that, because that'll be an amendment to the RMA.
okay,
And actually, you don't even need to do that until we actually, with consensus, we could draw that.
yeah.
Get it for your review, their review, but for yours first of all, and if you say, yep, we're willing to offer that to them, then we would. But you wouldn't have to take any other action today, other than tell me that.
Would that be available by next Monday?
I will make it.
I think we could probably amend it if we have that, yeah. That's just our definition.
Do you know that letter that Pat Hughes sent to them?
Yes.
About 2 months ago? Have you ever read that?
Yes.
He also referenced in there that pulling the CUP.
Yep.
And that
We
didn't,
talked about it.
that didn't scare them. Where we're still at.
Yeah,
The
there's a
bond-
declaration of breach provision.
The bond is $2 million, and then we also have, they put a $90,000 deposit down for the engineering. And so, as we've been getting the engineering bills, we've been sending them to them, and they are current on all those. They've paid them all, but within the time frame. They were late on one, and the rest of them they paid timely. So there's one right now that's due in the middle of October that we haven't received back yet, but then we still have that 90,000 that they put in, that we could potentially keep.
Who holds that bond, you know?
That is a letter of credit.
Is that one from that Mitsu Bank?
Yes, it
From
is.
Lord knows where?
It is, and it's
Okay.
also, the date, effective date is only through the end of this year, so we need to remember to
renew
have
it.
them renew it.
Well, I can get that information to you, I'll try to get to you as fast as possible.
So what would determine if we could draw on that letter?
Breach, and again, the breach provisions in the agreement are such that if, at this point, we make this kind of an offer, if we don't get somewhere, for example, if that's it, that's all, you're done, then we make the declaration of breach. They have a certain number of days within which to cure or reach a plan for cure. They don't do it, then they're in breach, and the whole thing at that point falls apart. I mean, I shouldn't say it that way, but that's in essence what can happen.
It's not that easy.
No.
Don't talk that way. It's not that easy. No, it's not gonna be that easy.
Yeah, be nice.
The
Be
provisions,
nice.
the provisions are such that they're reasonably clear as to what the process is. It's just a matter of how far it goes downhill, and you hope for the best.
Hate to say it, but that's part of the reason we talked to the attorney, because things are.
Okay, enough direction?
I'll get back to you.
Direction, Brian?
Yep.
I think our general direction though is somewhere this breach has to be mentioned,
Yeah.
at least.
I would appreciate knowing what the actual action of the board is, because I don't understand it to write the minutes, so what are we doing? What are you doing?
Well, I can make a motion to that effect, that we direct Brad and Bryce to determine a phase-in process, which would include the number of phases determined by Road and Bridge and our county council, along with the correspondence to them, which has the added teeth to it, enforcement-wise.
And includes the proposal for that phased approach.
Right.
To define
Which would
geographic
include-
areas.
And the costs,
Include the problem areas and cost.
Are you including Kirk and Michael in that?
I'm going to, because I
Yeah,
have to.
they
because
should
have
have.
Right.
They're the primary contacts, so, yeah.
Okay, it's been moved.
Okay, second.
Moved and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Found out last week, we got approval from the USDA Department of Ag for the cottonwood washout north of Florence, as well as 350 pieces of sunflower. We will need 25% participation, either with cash or in kind. I think won't be any problem coming up with our 25%. Typically, we'll haul the material or something to that effect. So I just need to send a letter back from them. Hopefully, we get approval from the national office, then we have 220 days to fix that. So just a matter of formality. And then lastly, I sent you the spreadsheet for the KDOT cost share stuff. KDOT will be doing an overlay on K15 from US 56 South this year, as well as overlay in 150. So we will have an asphalt plant. I've been saying somewhere in the area, no guarantee. If Emporia gets it, they may run out of the plant. If Newton gets it, you never know. But we will have asphalt in the area. I was also contacted by some contractors doing the next concrete phase pavement out there by Lost Springs, and I said we would be interested in taking the material. So, but with the of those costs, and I don't know whether you guys really want to go into this, you'd rather want to work it later. I have to have it in by a week from Friday on the 11th. So if you wanted to talk about it now, we can, or if you wanted to talk about it next week, if you wanted to do a work day, that's totally up to you. I can do whatever you want to do.
So this right here is what you're gonna turn into who?
This is just ours.
This is your
different.
project, your,
Yes.
so many year road project?
Well, basically, I took all the asphalt roads and put them in there, and I rated them according to the average annual daily traffic, which was the best information I had as of 2017, their results. And basically, my recommendation of 200 vehicles a day or less should be rock, 200 or more a day should remain asphalt. Now, based on those numbers, that's kind of what I come up with, and obviously you get to over cost. My big push was, if you really want to save Nighthawk and everything else, we need to do something this next year, or it's going to be to the point that it won't be salvageable. Now, one of the things we talked about was, if we go in and do the full depth reclamation with cement, and we stabilize that base, there are actually, a lot of places are doing that full depth reclamation, putting a double chip seal over the top of it. Basically saves your road and gives you quite a few more years to do something with it.
Without an overlay?
Yes. And what you do is, then down the road, is you can put a bunch more projects together and get a better unit cost to overlay it. Now, something like that's like anything else, even a good gravel road, when you got a good base, it lasts a long time. You know, that's kind of what we're looking at here, where we'll have a cement treated subgrade. We go ahead and do that, and then we can chip seal. Now, whether we do the chip seal or hire it out, that's another thing. But you get a lot of bang for your buck. It's roughly, I overestimated probably a little bit, but $125,000 a mile, which is the full depth reclamation and the double chip seal. The only thing that Nighthawk would involve would be replacing the culverts, which was recommended. We've already purchased the culverts. We already have a bunch of the sealing chips on the ground right now, so we may have to get some more depending on whatever else. But
Let me ask you this, Bryce. We've built bases ourselves before with their own equipment and stuff, and we've left them set for a year or two as a rock, and they firm up. We even did Pilsen Road, and we did that ourselves, and put a double chip seal back on it when we did that, put some extra money from the signs into the rock and things. But is that a possibility to do that too? To just leave them set for a year?
If you do the full depth reclamation with cement, you really need to seal them.
Okay, we didn't have
Yes,
that cement
yes.
in there.
And the difference is, with the cement, it develops more rigidity, and therefore, you don't want water trying to penetrate anything else,
Penetrate back,
because
okay.
same thing if you don't
Okay.
put the cement in it. You wanna, the reason you leave a rock is because it mellows out the low spots, the high spots, the
Right.
soft spots. But if you're looking to go back with pavement down the road, then this cement is the way to go with the seal. Now, the reason that and the other thing that's good about that is when they do the full depth reclamation, they come back and actually trim it to grade. So they trim it to a 2% cross slope. So therefore, when you put a surface on top of it, it should be very, very smooth and, as much as we can as far as mill. Now, again, the asphalt comes in effect as you look at $200,000 a mile. I mean, that's just a lot of money, and that's just for a plain overlay,
Oh, without no base work?
Correct. And that's just an estimate that's been thrown out there. One of the things I'd really like to do would do a profile mill on top of the overlay for two reasons. Number one, it reestablishes your cross slope. Second of all, we get millings out of the deal, and therefore you go back. That adds about $20,000 a mile, but it's still, over $200,000 a mile. And that's just the overlay. That's not the striping and stuff like that. Where if we go back with the and there's always a possibility, if we really want to push it, is to go back and just do a single chip seal over the top. All you're trying to do is seal up that base. So, but like I said, with those deals and those four, these 4 areas that I come up with, full depth reclamation, based on those miles, it'd be 2.775 million, and so at 30%, the county cost would be $832,500. Now that would include all that stuff. We already have the chips. We have to purchase some oil. There's a little extra cost for installing the new pipes, but we already have the pipes.
We're talking about Nighthawk, right?
Yes. And then they also talked about updating or working on some guardrails, which might add $100,000. But with that now, we've talked about before. These funds are lined up at 15%. They have $11 million available at 15%. They have $50 million available at 25%. They're probably going to get $150, $200, $250 million worth of requests. Everybody's going after this money. So whatever we can do to entice them, whether it's more dollar-wise, whether it's letters of credit or letters of support, whatever the case may be. I've actually talked to the city of Peabody about going into Peabody Street on the east side of the road is actually theirs. And so we've talked about, working with them on that, if they can even pony up a little bit of money or whatever else to help out. So, but anyway, like I said, based on 30% of the $832,500. The other thing that I'd really like to push for is to do a mill and overlay 190th from Marion clear out to US 56 minus the Hillsborough section. Again, we could have we could do that project out there with profile mill, and that would be about $726,000 for the county. So total those together would be about $1.6 million for the county at 30%. So, like I said, we can sit here and discuss what you want to do all day, and
Well, when we were talking about Nighthawk in phases, maybe 3 phases or something, we were talking about that kind of, those type of dollars to do a phase. A couple million.
I guess that's the thing was again, Nighthawk being in the shape it is, we could do it in phases, but that's just gonna take you out another 2-3 years to finish that whole thing off, and to say you'll have a really nice section, then you'll taper into a really nice section.
I know.
Yeah. But that was
It's
my
all
thought.
about dollars.
Yeah, but that was my thought of doing the full depth reclamation all the way from the start. It's just like working on Remington, you redo the brace, and at least you can have something to work with.
Yeah, if we did what you're talking about, the reclamation and a double chip seal.
Yeah.
We could conceivably do that whole stretch.
Yep.
That's 13 miles, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to try it for this money, see what happens.
I mean, that's really a priority as far as I'm concerned.
And like, it comes down to the fact is, where do you want to put the money to try to save these roads? Another one was, that money also included the 330th from Tampa East to Quail Creek. That's another road we're basically at that point to where we either do this or it goes back to rock. So, anyway, and like I said, whether I can work that up with a tentative as of Monday, if you guys want to come up with, we can discuss it more maybe next week, because I know I've really been using time, but if you'd rather do that, maybe you guys could put for, I mean, you got the same spreadsheet I've got.
I think, you know, we all know what the priorities are.
Yeah.
If you want to go ahead and work that up, I mean, that would be my thought.
Well, like I said, I don't have to have it officially in until the end of next week, so we have that week and a half, but I can proceed with that for now.
I think try that. Do we need a motion to do that?
Before we do that, I want to ask you a
Okay.
question, if you don't mind.
That's fine.
So you have several roads that your recommendation is to actually turn them back to rock. You have number one, which is I assume that means your recommendation, and number one means back to rock, and you are citing 340th from Quail Creek to 77 Highway, and also the 1 mile stretch from 77 over to the north. You want to put that back to rock.
Based on traffic volumes. If you look at the traffic volumes that are in there, everything is 200 or less. That's what the industry standard is. Now, as I've said before, typically when they say keep it asphalt, they assume 6 to 8 inches of good material.
Okay.
So, but again, that's totally up to you guys. What, you know, if you want me to save it, I just have to have the money to save it.
Okay, so by making a motion to accept, are we going to accept this entire package here?
No.
So we can
I
actually
can-
alter that then, because I need some more information.
Well, yeah.
Because I would not, I know the people, whatever road you're gonna turn back to rock, you're gonna have resistance.
I understand that,
Nobody
and
wants
that's
that.
why I'm giving you that information to show you, based on an engineering standpoint, where we are.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you look at the total $27 million for everything, that ain't gonna happen, but
I'd just like to make a motion for Nighthawk to try that, for that 30%.
What about 190th though?
well, again, that's up to you. I mean, it's like anything else.
That really is gonna have to have some type of work
Something
done
done for long.
in the
Yeah.
next year, because it's getting,
And that is obviously the second busiest road we have between
That's-
Indigo, South Eagles.
That's former Commissioner Holland's lunch route.
Well, and Diane, you'll notice too that going west out of Durham, that road doesn't have enough traffic, and it should be turned back to rock, and it just happens to go in front of the commissioner's house too.
Yeah, I noticed.
So anyway.
it was there before I was.
Okay, just, yeah, but anyway. But I mean, like I said, we can work on it. Again, these are just my recommendations. There's so many other things that we could do recommendation wise. You just wanted a list and a cost. That's what I gave you.
Okay.
So, yeah, we can discuss any of that stuff, but it just comes down to the fact is, how far do you want to go to save the roads?
What was you thinking of, are you thinking between Hillsborough and Marion? the
Right.
190th? What are you thinking of a overlay, or was you thinking of a chip and
You were
seal?
talking about milling that.
What I propose is basically going to do a profile mill. You set in, do roughly 1 inch on center line, and you set that cross slope. So if it's low on the outside, it won't cut. If it's high, it'll cut, but it cuts at least that slope, if not more. So then, when you go back and do the overlay, if you cut 1 inch on center line, you add 2 inches. So you're theoretically only gaining 1 inch, but you're putting that cross slope back in, because what happens is if your road does this, now you're ponding water and stuff like that, and if you get that slope that way, it's a lot better to try to control your asphalt. I mean, because if you do a 2 inch overlay, they're gonna go 2 inches all the way through there. What you had before is what you can have. But the other thing is that road has been, obviously been around probably since the 30s, being paved. The higher you keep overlaying it, the more you have problems with ditches and culverts and stuff like that. So that's one way. KDOT actually does a whole bunch of what they call mill fill. They'll mill 2, they'll go back to 2. You know, so, but I would add, there's some areas out there we could rework for structure and.
So if you're milling it, do you have to go back with a 2 inch?
You can go back whatever you want to.
We'll say, you can go back with a 1 inch.
1 inch creates a problem because typically the largest aggregate you'll have will be 3/4 inch to 1 inch, and therefore you'll have aggregate on aggregate, you know.
Okay.
There's also another way out there. You can go out with a leveling course. Basically do the same thing. You set your cross slope and you just start dragging material all the way through there, but then you come back with another lift on top of it to basically put your surface lift on there. You know, we talked, this Cook Flat shovel proposal on Nighthawk actually talked about going back, doing that work, and then doing 3.5 inch overlay. Again, you know, the problem with Nighthawk too is if we go back and start adding 3.5 inch overlay, we have shoulders to worry about, we have culverts, we have guardrail.
We have a lot of dirt to
everything else.
move.
Yeah, so, but anyway, I guess, I'll work on the cost share. Now, do you wanna stick with, I mean, the minimum's 25%. What we talked about before, if you up that, I think that's going to up you into the list, you know, so if you wanna go with 30%, or I mean, I could work on several different proposals and just run them by you. So, in the meantime, you can look at this spreadsheet and,
We want the one that gives us the best chance.
Would the commission want to go to 35%, 10% higher than the state wants?
I still think that's a bargain. I mean, whatever we can.
Oh, yeah,
that's-
it's a bargain.
I think if it would kind of give us a little better
Yeah.
chance of getting a shoe in,
yeah.
I'd be in favor of that.
It's just a matter of changing the one sheet off the proposal, everything else will be the same. So, but, anyway. But,
So
So,
did you want to go ahead with your motion?
Diane, are you guys wanting 190th included in that?
Yeah, let's
We know
try-
that it's
let's
going
do
to
it.
have to be worked in
Yeah.
the next year.
and like I said, we're gonna have asphalt projects in the area, that if we get these jobs right away, I can turn around and get proposals and send out so that the low, in KDOT goes to bid in November, there's no way I'm gonna get them turned around by then. But after they get approval, I can go back and submit bids, and you would think that the low bidder on that project would hopefully bid a low bid for us.
Is your 190th crosscut figured with an overlay or figured with chip and seal?
Overlay.
Overlay.
That's the
2 inch?
profile mill,
2 inch?
yes.
Okay, I make a motion to go on Nighthawk between Highway 50 and Highway 56, correct?
No, that actually included 60th and everything else also.
Oh, that's, okay.
60th from the Harvey County line to the east, to the west city limits of Peabody. I did not put the mile in there between 60th and Highway 50 because that's gonna be, we've got half rock and half in town city with that. And then, so from 60th to the west city limits, and then from Highway 50 up to US 56.
Okay.
That's still 13 miles? Or is that more than 13 miles?
It's on here.
Seems like that'd be more.
I have 11 miles from 190th.
For 190th, okay.
Oh,
See, I was going through.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, you got 11 miles from
Okay.
256 to 56.
The whole project was, they had was 13 miles, which included the 2 miles from Nighthawk west on 60th, and then from US 50 to US 56.
Okay.
They did not include that mile in between, which
Right.
you know, we have to figure out what we're gonna do.
Okay. So I make a motion to go 60th from west city limits of Peabody to county line. Nighthawk from 50 highway to 56 highway. 190th from the city limits of Marion to the city limits of Hillsborough.
What about the west of Hillsborough?
I was actually gonna go up to US 56, skip Hillsborough and then go out west.
Yeah, to
Okay.
US 56. That's another mile.
Yeah, mile and a half. Not
2 miles.
Yep.
Because you're going from the west city limits out to the curve and then going to the highway.
Yeah.
2.5.
Is it 2.5? Yeah.
City limits.
But anything, that'd be the time to do it if you were there. So.
Okay. All right, let me try this one more time. 60th highway, 60th from west city limits of Peabody to the county line. 190th from Highway 50 to Highway 56. 190th from Marion City, west city limits to the east city limits of Hillsborough. From the west city limits of Hillsborough to 56 highway for 190th on the crosscut over 2 inch overlay.
Actually, that would be from, 190th would be from 256 Junction West, not from the west city limits.
Okay.
Sorry.
How would you like to make that motion? As he just said, I think Tina knows what we're doing here from where the state gives it
Yes,
quits.
yes.
From where the state quits to the Highway 56 west of Hillsborough.
Well, I'll second that.
Okay,
How's
thank you.
that?
Thank you.
Okay, been moved and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that is a motion to apply for the cost share
Cost
program
share.
for those road sections.
Yes, correct, yes.
And were you going to designate the
Oh.
percent?
35%.
Okay.
Everybody on board?
Done. Okay.
You don't want to repeat that motion?
No.
All right, I think that's it, unless you have anything else. Sorry it took
Okay.
so long, but we
No,
got
that's all right.
involved in some other stuff, so.
Okay, thanks, Russ.
Uh,
Okay, is Bud here?
Thanks for late patching all of mine.
Hey, did you?
They're a little rough, but they're not, they're good, they're not a wreck.
You stopped in last week and talked to me or something? Okay, did you still need to talk?
Okay.
Bud?
That seat is so hot right now, bud. Is that what it is? Okay.
It's my interest.
Okay.
Morning.
Morning.
Okay, Bud, you got department business?
Yeah. Found out we can use our original permit down at the transfer station. Just had some change, some things. I sent copies of it to Brad. He's looked it over, and this needs to be signed by the commission, both spots filled out, so I can send it off to them. I will get a copy to Tina of the modification to the plan. I've sent Carvalho a copy of it already, so they can send it in with the
So you need
plans.
signatures at top and bottom.
Yes, that's what they said.
State permit to have the station there. Is that what this is for?
This is for our original permit number down at the transfer station. It's just a modification to keep using that
Location.
location, that permit number. It's not gonna be a big thing. Just redoing the plan of operation and all the things that they asked for. And I will get all of the stuff sent to Tina so she can get it to you guys. And KDHE is still working on looking at this to make sure it's proper and everything, but I needed to get this signed.
They're reviewing the action plan, and we sent them the 90% drawings because a lot of the changes we made didn't change. Well, none of the changes changed the overall design. So they're in the review process.
What address do we want to use?
I can fill that part in.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
That's all I need to say.
Good, Randy.
So I came in here to say I'm ready to advertise this project to go out to bid. So I brought a set of drawings, full size, that I would tell you are 100%, but I met with Westar before this meeting and they asked me to put a phone number to contact. So these are no longer 100%, but they're good for construction. We're just going to make some slight changes. So what we're wanting to do is that if you guys are in on taking this out to advertise and then bid, we're looking at, if you guys say go today, it could be in the newspaper on Wednesday. I got to get down there before noon today. And then it would advertise until bid date of November 4th, just looking at what your guys' meeting schedule is. We wrote on here 10 a.m. for bid opening on November 4th. So I guess that's what I'm looking for, a signature on our advertisement to bid. With those dates in mind.
Need to take action to advertise.
Yeah, usually we don't have a meeting the day before the election, but
And that's, I just looked at a calendar, I didn't realize you had an election that day, but brought that up.
It's Tuesday, it's the election.
yeah. Generally, in the past, we haven't met the day before the election. That doesn't mean we can't. Then your next meeting would be on the 12th because the 11th is a holiday. So.
And the 12th is when the convention starts, right?
Yeah, KAC. So you may not be able to do that then. So maybe we could just limit your meeting on the 4th to only certain things.
What's commission's thoughts on going ahead with advertising? I mean, we have to know.
Say move on. Move on, move on.
So I'll go ahead and make a motion, then we go ahead and direct Val Valley Engineering to advertise. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Sign this.
Yes.
Ken, will emailing you this stuff be fine, or you want a hard copy? I'll get it to you.
Of this?
No, of the changes that I had them sign.
Oh,
You know, everything that I sent to Kate, that you,
are you, okay. Email Friday's fine.
okay, well, you know, if you can get that, what Kent signed for me back, I need to get it into her today.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Randy?
I think that's it.
Okay.
That does include the small project as a separate project, correct?
The
Electrical.
electrical line, yeah, it's on, the plan sheets are in here. Yeah,
Okay.
the plan is that's, we're gonna leave all that up to whoever gets the bid to coordinate, to have that project done
Okay.
and with their work. I mean, it
So you're saying it's part of the big project?
yes, yes, it is, yeah. It's all gonna be bid together. Yep. So our assumption is whoever wins this is gonna.
So we're gonna have one bid.
Yes, is gonna have to handle this as a general contractor. They're gonna have to hire an electrical company to do that kind of work. But I've already had our electrical engineers make a recommendation, and I said I'll attach that to the plan holders list so that name will be out there. There'll be other companies that'll want to jump on board, and so.
How long do they usually make their bids good for on a project of that scope?
Usually within, we like to lock in that number within 15 to 30 days after it's been bid.
Because, you know, we're studying the financing side of it.
Yeah, at least 30 days until it bids, so.
Anything else? Good? Randy?
Anything, if you got anything for me?
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, that was the final item on the agenda, so we'll open it up to public comment, citizen concern. Anyone?
Final comment?
Yep.
I would like to comment that I talked to Diane last Saturday, and I called her up, and it was like two words, and then blank, 2 words, blank, and then finally it dropped the call, and then called her back, went through the same process. It's horrible, and I don't know if you guys don't worry about that or what, or I know it's not just me. I've talked to other people up there too. Some of them own. Some of them say, well, I can't say anything because I signed this good neighbor agreement. Well, I guess they're a good neighbor without a phone. But is there anything in the contract or something that states that you gotta fix that? You know, you got emergency communication and everything. You guys ought to protect us.
Others? Last chance?
Oh, Diane, you were gonna ask Bryce a question about Bill when he was up here. Do you need me to
I
have him come back? or-
Forgot. I'll just go down and visit him and ask him a question. That's fine.
Okay.
How about the railroads? Did you ever come up with something on a block of railroad crossings?
Called them, and they said they were gonna go ahead and check the last like 90 days of history, just to kind of get a sense of what's happening and how long. And I have not heard back, and I'll call them again. I think it's a good idea to follow up. It's been almost
Thank
3
you.
4
I
weeks.
forgot about that. It was one of my notes. I totally forgot about it. Especially up there in Ramona to see if they're gonna split them trains. And other places too.
I just said across the county, but it specified several, we talked about that today.
Anyone else?
So I do want to follow up a little bit on that. What do we do, Brad, about the phone services and stuff? I know there's snippets in the contracts that say they do testing.
Yeah.
But what, okay, so they test. What do we do or how do we, because I mean, you know, let's look at the future and cell phones and, you know, if we're going backwards to where we're hindering our cell phone services and stuff, how do we address that?
Other than initially, it's a contact with them, it's at least contemplated in the agreement. Not much in there though, after that was discussed the last time, I looked at that and, you know, there wasn't a lot said about, other than that they gave general representations that it should not, would not impact that. Well, it sounds like it is.
It's horrible.
And then objectively determining that, you know.
What do you have to do, hire a third-party company
Probably.
that tests for that
Yeah.
sort of thing?
Yeah, because it's outside the realm of the county employees' expertise, so.
And I tell you, down south, I mean, I know Randy's sitting there and doesn't understand, but your day is coming. And you still, if you count on your cell phone, it's devastating, you know, when you pick up the phone and you can't talk to anybody. I don't care where they're calling your phone.
What service are you on?
That's not the point, the service, because everybody has a different service, but you have the same lack of dropping the calls. That never happened before. I'm on Verizon, to answer your question, okay? Other people are, some people are on, I don't know, he's on cellular or something.
US Cellular, and I don't have drops,
Yeah.
so I didn't know.
But you're not up in my area.
No, but
If
I
you were
go
down-
up in there a lot,
Well,
and I've been on the phone up there a lot.
You never
And I
did?
haven't, and I don't know, if just maybe it's because US Cellular's got better coverage, I don't know.
No,
They don't.
Verizon doesn't work
But,
on 150 either.
but
Between
okay,
150
so,
and
but I mean,
and so my defense on that is, I've lived there for like 8, 9, 10 years, and never had a problem, and always had Verizon. Never had this problem.
Where's your tower at?
Right there on 330th.
have you ever checked with Verizon to see how they're, because when I had Verizon where I lived, when I first lived there, it was great, never had any problem. Then all of a sudden, a couple of years later, start dropping.
They should have.
Finally, I went to McPherson, they said, you gotta go to Hutchinson, so I went to Hutchinson. Oh, we've decreased the strength of that signal in that area. Okay, you haven't decreased the bill. So of course, that time I changed carrier.
I was just, because your tower is in the, right at the edge of the southern edge of them, and you're south of the farms. I was just wondering
Yeah.
where the tower was related to your, to get you to hit off a tower. where
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
related at.
it's south. It is south of that, yes, where I'm at, right. And I will tell you too, you're right, Mr. Becker, I can't get any service in Durham. Now, I'm not gonna complain about that because there's nobody in Durham on the call. So it doesn't bother me at all. But when you go past Durham, if you're on Verizon, forget it, you're not gonna get
Yeah, I mean,
anything.
you go down Boyer, especially between Elmdale and Strong City, you better just hang up because it's not gonna work.
But now I know I can go all over.
Same way south, same way south of Peabody, all the way through Whitewater.
And what you just said is, that's what they did when they come to Peabody, Montel, come to Peabody, they would not put no antennas face south because the AT&T network takes over right at the water tower 2 miles south of Peabody. That's their area, so they face no antennas that way to face to catch any signal, and that's why it's always been dropped after that tower, is their signal don't go no farther than that.
Now, I know the people up in Vermont, and I know this is crazy because I'm always talking about technology, a lot of them have antennas on their homes yet, even for their TV service. They can't get TV service or a lot, they really struggle with that, and I can sure bring a bunch of people in here from Vermont who will testify to that. I mean, we're blessed because ours is underground, you know,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the technologies that we have, so it doesn't interfere with our internet service or TV or anything like that. But boy, that cell phone has just gone to pot.
Maybe ask Verizon,
Pardon me?
maybe talk to Verizon.
I have not talked to Verizon, no. I have not talked to
Had a
them.
deal I can't do with it. Always screwing with the signals.
Call Hutchinson, don't call McPherson.
She probably had to go to Junction City.
Well, I would call Junction or Salina probably, but either one, anyone. But I don't know, I'll call them and just see what they say, but I tell you, it is very aggravating because it's the way for the future, is cell phones. And I just hate to see
I
it
haven't
go
worked your area
backwards.
lately, but I haven't had no trouble with Verizon up there when I've been working Tampa, in the town of Tampa. But I haven't worked Tampa for the past couple of months.
And I'll tell you, it's not every day, all day. It's just a lot, enough to just irritate a person.
Different phone calls.
Yeah, so I guess, like I said, I can sometimes make perfectly good phone calls, no problem. And then sometimes you can't talk to anybody. It's just crazy.
Okay, anyone else?
Do you have anything to say?
No, I just agreed with what Tina was saying. About the
I'll go ahead and make a motion to adjourn then.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
You didn't bring my money. Trying to get
Very creative.
my kid.